Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, Altcoin Tripper here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert, do your own research. Today I'm just going to review a lot of altcoins. I did a request post and just added some of the altcoins that everyone's kind of wanting to look at. So yeah, let's check it out. I'm just briefly going to go into some of the majors in Bitcoin. I mean, the purpose is to more go into altcoins, but it's important to understand the context of where Bitcoin is at in order to think about altcoins. As always, altcoins are only going to perform in an environment where Bitcoin is strong or stable. As of right now, Bitcoin is not strong or stable. As we've seen, price has gone from 125 all the way down to 80. It's been a strong drawdown overall, and this drawdown has actually been the strongest it's been since all throughout 2020, since 2024, I believe. So right now we're at 36% at the end of, not end, but kind of mid-late, or I'm sorry, this was back in 2025, and then all throughout 2024 we had like it was like a 34% or whatever drawdown, kind of in the middle part, top to bottom. But as you can see, like, this drawdown is not anything super extreme relative to what we've experienced last 2 years, but it feels quite a bit more extreme given the underperformance of crypto as a whole relative to equities and gold. I think it's been, pretty disappointing to see that whatever stock has that you can choose has really outperformed a lot of the crypto tokens. That's for a whole myriad of reasons, to be honest with you. I don't really want to get into that now. That's not the purpose of this video, but it's more just to understand the environment of where we're at right now in a trading environment. And right now, the environment is clearly that we're in a downtrend. I mean, you can see that on pretty much all time frames. We're making lower highs and lower lows, and you can see that just in the chart. There's not too much relief coming that I can see. We are at a pretty strong level, though, I will say that. This area between 75,000 and kind of like 88 or something like that, this area is the last consolidation area and the last low back earlier this year in March that marked the bottom. So like, even though we're not quite there yet, I wouldn't be surprised to see some sort of temporary bottom be formed within this range of 85K and 75K, more like 70K, I should say, or 75 is fine. Something like this would make a lot of sense to me. Unfortunately, I think that you might need to see some sort of wick for that to happen. Generally speaking, bottoms are formed by a strong wick. You can see that right here, back in February of 2025. You can see that in a consolidation period and some of these other wicks that were formed as well. Generally speaking, you need a wick followed by strong chop, rather consolidation, to form a bottom. So from a price action standpoint, what you'll generally see, something like this, strong wick down, and then a lot of chop over the next several weeks or months or what have you, and then you'll see recovery. With that type of price action, you can see it right here. You can see it, all throughout here. Again, it wasn't quite a wick, but you saw a big drawdown here, followed by chop. This type of price action is very common overall. So, from the standpoint of where we're at in terms of potentially not being in a downtrend or where we're at, I think that the bottom is largely in, relatively. Like, I think that, potentially we could go another down to 75K. So maybe 10 to 15% lower, which, to some people, like, they might say, oh, like, this is still like a lot of downtrend left. And that's entirely, that's a fair assessment. But I think that you'll generally find the bottom between this 75K and 85K range. And I think that it's going to take time, and how much time I don't know. This one lasted like 2 months or something, from like end of February all the way to end of April. So, every type of consolidation period is different. Chop is different, and it's pretty contextual. But as of right now, like, we are only just a few weeks in. Like, from that big wick, we're about 2 weeks in. So, maybe we chop around for another few weeks, then we go up. I don't really know what's going to happen, but altcoins probably don't fully send until you have some sort of stabilization of Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin does move, then I think that we'll start to see a lot of recovery. But until that time, I don't know. It's best just to probably just not be super active trading unless you know what you're doing. Let's briefly look at ETH. ETH, I thought, was at an interesting area. I mean, 115 days within this kind of top region, this top to bottom, or quote unquote bottom of where we're at right now. You can use a fib, and we are at an interesting area. We're at the kind of 618, and generally speaking, this area is it's a pretty good bounce area on higher time frame charts. What you can see is maybe just more chop around, and then something strong move in early Q1 is probably my assumption of how this will probably go down, personally. But for now, it did reject from this 3,200 area, and we didn't see a break. Once you see a break, then you can actually start making assumptions that it's going to obviously test the 4Ks or whatever. But until that time, just not there yet, unfortunately. Better just to hang out. Solana looks the worst out of the majors, in my opinion. Both ETH and BNB are markedly stronger, in my opinion. Similar chart, though. A lot of the majors have the similar chart where it's kind of down, down, down. And now it looks like they're finding some semblance of some sort of bottom. But again, you can maybe make the argument that it also looked the same back in early November as well as late October. I could also see that logic as well. We are at some interesting areas for the majors, like I just showed you on the 618 fib for Ethereum, but Solana, in my opinion, looks like the weakest of the three. Still is like at an area that is interesting though. Like, if you look at some of these wicks down at the 120 area, I wouldn't personally short it. This area is still like an interesting one, in my opinion, and it is very close to the point of control of this kind of price action all the way since the move up back in 2023 onward. But still, it still looks like it's worse than the other. So I don't know. I mean, like, majors will go as Bitcoin goes, generally speaking. BNB is always going to be a strong coin, in my opinion, in any condition, just because of its association with Binance, like on-chain activity. Who actually really knows? But I still think it looks fine. It's underperforming ETH a little bit. ETH probably has better flows from DATs and what have you, but I mean, again, all these majors are going to go as Bitcoin goes. I think that only way these really outperform majors is if like Bitcoin hits like some sort of healthy environment. But until that time, it's kind of hard to say. But in this chart itself is pretty difficult to tell. Also with BNB, not really sure what to think of it. If I'm being completely honest with you. Let's go into the hype chart. Hype is obviously the best project in crypto, but it's a bit scary with team unlocks overall. Those are going to be hitting the market every month, and it's to be determined what happens with regards to the price. I think that, everyone says, yeah, Jeff's not going to sell. I believe that, but he still has other team members that will sell. They can't give up generational wealth. So bottom line is that although this is the best chart in crypto, it unfortunately does have unlocks similar to, every other project, every other legitimate project. And I'm personally not biting on this one quite yet. I think it would be an excellent buy at like the $20 area. If it hits that range, I don't know, but and like there's going to be areas in between too. Like 25 probably a decent buy. 30 even people might argue is a good buy now. Totally can see that view if I'm being honest with you. But with unlocks and a lot of uncertainty, it's probably just maybe a fade for now, personally. FARTCOIN has been one of the strongest coins of the last 2 weeks. It's pretty much doubled since the bottom of 17 cents, went up to 40. Strong pullback today, the last few days really. But, and to be clear, I do have a bag of this, but it is at an interesting area. This is the same kind of area that it had such a strong run. It's like it formed the base back in March of 2025, and we're seeing this same area kind of hold up and hold as an interesting area. Wintermute is out of tokens from what I understand. They sold all their tokens, marked the bottom, got bought up, and I saw on chain there's a weird entity that's they're buying like several percent of supply and like putting them on public wallets. So I don't know. It's weird. Personally, I'm obviously biased. I think this is a great meme. I think it's still a relevant meme, and I still think it has staying power. As it has shown great strength, it's shown great volatility. I personally am hoping to buy more, in this area, and I think that it still has plenty of upside left. Even if you just buy in this consolidation area, still, like, even if it hits, it could still hit an easy, 2-3x in my opinion, and still not get close to like all-time highs. All-time highs back above 2, and then it kind of hit that double top back in May and July. So I don't know. Overall, like still like bullish on it overall, but I also recognize that this is a volatile coin. Could still do a lot of different stuff. So yeah, I mean, just kind of still trading it, kind of watching it, still have a big bag of it, but yeah. PENGU was definitely wrong on this bottoming or even having any semblance of a bottom, honestly. It's been pretty rough overall. I think it's a great coin. Price hasn't, it's retraced quite a bit since the top very clearly, obviously. And I can't recommend that you immediately buy right now. I think it's something you watch. It's much generally safer to buy on the way up if you're trading this thing. If you want to just invest and just like hold it for a while, okay, that's fair. But it's better to see this chop around and then start to buy on the way up. Even if you miss the first 20 to 50% move, if it really is a bullish coin, for example, like say you bought like right here, after this big run, it went from, it already did like a 2x at that point, and still had plenty of upside left. So I think that generally speaking, if you want to buy these types of coins, if you want to be safe, it's generally better to buy on the way up than try to knife catch. If you are trying to look for like the absolute best price, there is kind of a price to admission, so to speak. Like you can get great prices if you buy like from now and then you just keep buying lower. But the downsides to that is that you're going to have to potentially just be underwater, and it's like a high likelihood at some point. So, if you can stand being underwater, that's totally up to your decision. You could just buy spot, look away, no problem. But if you're actively trading this, I would recommend that you try to buy this on the way up. I still think it's a good coin overall. It's got like a lot of obviously real world potential. Like their brand is very, very vibrant, still very relevant. Yeah, I still think that it's a good one to watch, but again, might need a little bit more time. Mantle is a good coin. I was in this before. I likened it to kind of Bybit's BNB, but it really hasn't shown kind of the demand that I thought it would. I thought there would be more demand. I thought there would be a little bit more defending of prices. We haven't seen that type of strength that we see with BNB, for example. BNB has held up pretty well, relatively speaking. And Bybit as a top exchange in crypto, we haven't really seen kind of the type of defense that we see with BNB. Obviously, BNB is much more entrenched. It's much more, known, of course, but not really sure. It's a little bit disappointing to see this move down so much. It's similar to PENGU in the sense that, like, if you buy around here, that you're just going to assume that you can be underwater, and you might get a good price. I do think this thing does pretty well, like, in the right conditions, but you might just have to be underwater for a little bit before you actually see some upside. Link, I think, is always a good coin in general. I don't own any. Link community is still some of the strongest in crypto overall, and I think the general advice for pretty much all of these coins, to be frank and honest with you, is just to buy it on the way up. Buying it as a knife catch, so to speak, is still pretty risky. It's still a situation where, like, price can just keep going lower. And that's the unfortunate reality with a lot of these altcoins, is that price, can go much lower than you think. Link is a great example of a good, strong fundamental coin. This project is used all over the place in the crypto industry. It's great, but as a trader, you probably just want to be more safe and probably just value less volatility over straight up upside in environments like this. Again, if you want to just buy it and hold it, this is an interesting region, in my opinion. But I think you can probably get a lower price, to be frank and honest with you. I don't know. I mean, it's a good coin, as I said, but it's probably just going to go to like $10 or maybe $11. Depends, obviously, on the market, though. Like, as I said, prefacing this with Bitcoin, it's all dependent on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, then this will also go up. Like, probably outperform. If Bitcoin dumps, then it is not. COTI, it's finally reached this kind of range low area that I've been eyeing. I highlighted it on the chart. I think it really needs to bounce on this area, though. If you look at volume profile, it lost the point of control already on that move up. And I think that you just really need to see... You just need to see some defense of this region. The problem with some of these old coins sometimes is just that, like, they get forgotten, or they have old tech, or, just like a lot of their community is maybe just gone, unless you're like, a Link Marine or a XRP Army or something. But really would like to see this kind of move up here. This is a pretty important, strong area, in my opinion. EIGEN, same story as COTI and some of the others, where it lost some of these key range low areas. It is at this range low now. I think EIGEN is really dependent on having a strong ETH narrative. If ETH is strong, then EIGEN will also do pretty well. But as of right now, it is at a critical area. It's at that wick at 10, kind of the 10-10 region. I think that's a 10-10 wick. I assume it is. It can't be anything else. Yeah, it's at the 10-10 wick. Fully filled it out at this point. Would love to see it just chop around and then move higher. Like, the tech for EIGEN is still solid and relevant, but need to see it defend this current region. AERO has recently had some good moves, but again, similar to other types of projects, it's just hasn't found much of a shift in market structure. Unfortunately, it's still trading low. It's still lower highs, lower lows. We haven't really seen any great demand. It's similar to like, it's just like any other trading products where like, revenue is higher during like when the market's good, and then when the market sucks, everything just dwindles. And unfortunately, AERO with great tech, great team, it just hasn't done great. There are some catalysts with AERO, in my opinion, in the sense that maybe it is a good base coin, but I think that maybe you just need to like wait until it starts going on the uptrend, similar to these other coins. Say, it looks ugly, honestly. I think it's just scary because there's unlocks. Anytime there's unlocks with any token, it's probably gonna go just down a lot. Like the team's unlocking, investors are unlocking, and I know this launched back in 23, but there's still vesting, probably still 3-year vest or whatever. So it's gonna keep going into 2026. This will maybe be a good one eventually when like unlocks stop, but until then, you're just going to hit lower highs and lower lows. So would rather buy this on the way up, but maybe just stay away altogether at this point. AVAX, to its credit, AVAX has stayed around a lot longer than a lot of its other 2021 contemporaries. The absolute madness this chart used to have back in 2021, back at 150 AVAX, that's at $12. This was really the old alt layer 1 hype narrative back then. Super fun times. I really I missed some of those times, of course, but it is what it is. You can't turn back time. But as it stands, AVAX, they do have some interesting stuff building, but I think, I read a post about them recently where they never really chose their specialty. They went to gaming. They were like in several other things, and just didn't really choose like kind of their specialty. At least because Solana is like the casino, ETH is like the bank. It's just everyone has kind of different specialties, and AVAX never really chose one. So I don't know. I mean, this one looks like it's going back down to like the $9 region, but similar to Bitcoin, it's just going to just go as Bitcoin goes. ONDO is a good coin fundamentally, but similar to other coins, it's also scary because there are investor unlocks. This one launched in February of 24, or January 24, and is now, it's been unlocking a bunch. I would be wary of it, in my opinion. Just need to be a situation where like, there's a lot of investor unlocks, they're still up a lot of money, and as an investor, this can't be a long-term hold. It would be decent maybe if you're looking for a scalp or like a trade. But as of right now, I'm not really seeing a whole lot from a TA standpoint. Maybe just it'll go back to like the 25-cent region. GRT, this is a coin I haven't heard about in a while. Used to trade this a lot back in the day. It looks like it's just going back down to the lows again, unfortunately. I mean, it is at the lows. It's at the all-time lows, pretty much. So coins like this, so coins like this can be good in the sense that all unlocks are probably done. It's got a high float. The problem is that you have to worry about the team just giving up because they're already rich as fuck, and now like maybe their foundation is just really rich, and they're just chilling out. I don't really know, but if they can do a narrative shift or pivot or something like that, sometimes these pivots can be pretty powerful, but it is asking a lot and it's making a big assumptions overall. So I don't know. I mean, like, I generally would stay away from coins like this. They're not really my style of trading or investing really at all, but just because I think that the narratives are probably not so good. But I don't know. Everybody has different things that they like to look for. DOT falls in the same line as GRT. I mean, it's at like the all-time low level. Like, this one's never going to come back. Like, it just won't go back to like what it used to be ever. similar to the other projects, it does have like, you know, some relevancy with, not relevancy. I should say more that like it's got the same benefits as GRT, where it's like high float. You know, you don't have to worry about investor unlocks. The problem is that this is just a failed narrative. It's probably just done. There's never gonna come back, in my opinion. S is a coin that also has been quite disappointing. Sonic was really strong, or Phantom rather. They had a rebrand, but similar, you know, it has similar to GRT and DOT. Again, high float coins, no investor unlocks, and you know, still interesting potential. But this might do well with Andre Crone's new project, Flying Tulip, maybe coming out, but I don't know. Like, I generally would stay away. Banana, same situation as before. Like, not a huge fan of this coin. The problem is just that trading terminals have really eaten their lunch in a lot of ways. Yeah, they make money. Yeah, they have a token that's got out and everything, but it's just too hard to compete, in my opinion, against some of these new trading terminals that are out. And, you know, I think the market can agree with that overall. And PEPE, my favorite coin to trade back in 2023, back in that first launch, and then also later on. Had some strong moves, but man, this has just been bleeding hardcore to the point where it's hard to really see it coming back and having these strong runs. You can see that back in 2024, it had these really strong runs. Down at the bottom, you know, February, early 24, did this strong move up, retraced 60%, another strong move up 3x, big move down 66%, strong move up 3x. Really had a lot of these big cycles all within just like a year's time span, where it had a bunch of mini cycles. And this was actually a good representation, in my opinion, of the overall market. I don't think that there's 4-year cycles anymore. I think that there's just more a few months of really fun times, and then like 2 to 6 months of really bad times. And what we're seeing now is kind of like that 2 to 6 months of really bad times. Yeah, we had some move back in April, you know, where it went up 2x, but it just bled way past that at this point, and just looks a little bit like it's just bleeding out. I mean, it's hard to really say where this goes overall, but it is still like one of the best OG memes for sure. But yeah, hard to really say. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.